So this past Saturday, I came upon a YouTube video called African American Homes Getting Demolished in Cape Coast, Ghana. And it's been turned into an LGBT hotel. So I clicked on this video. It was on the Go Black to Africa channel. Clicked on it because I just really wanted to know what was going on. So when I look at the video, he basically was showing or sharing a commentary or his perspective about a video that he had seen of homes getting demolished in Cape Coast, Ghana, and these homes belong to an African American. And so the lady that was actually videoing this was a passerby. She was not a reporter, she was not an interviewer, she was not any of those things. She was just somebody just happened to be going past, saw this stuff going on, and so she took her camera out and she started recording. And of course, as we all know, what happens nowadays when things are recorded, people just go ahead and post it on social media. So she posted it all over social media. The video went viral. I have tried to find the video and can't find it. So the footage I just showed you was from the Go Black to Africa's channel. I don't really know where the original video is, but anyway, from his video, he said that it went viral. So about a day after that, another YouTuber talked about the same situation. That's Evans from Kenya, who pretty much basically just kind of said what Go Black to Africa said on his channel. So at this point, I'm like, okay, so this story is now starting to get out. So I'm definitely wanting to see kind of how this story is going to play out. The day after that, another YouTuber by the name of Eco, I might be saying his name all wrong, excuse me. He is a Ghanaian. I think he said that he lived in the area. I don't know if he lived in Cape Coast. I think he did say that he lived in Cape Coast, in that area. And so he made a video giving a brief history of the land, and basically taking it from the perspective of the government, because it was the government who actually demolished the homes. And so he went in and said, hey, this is how it works here in Ghana, and this is probably the reason why the homes were demolished. Now, of course, he doesn't have firsthand information. He hasn't talked to anybody who worked for the government who was responsible for the demolishing of the homes, and he did not talk to the owner either. So he's just giving his perspective of someone who lives in Ghana who's just saying, hey, this is probably what happened. There were a couple more videos that I watched on this topic because I really wanted to see what was everybody saying about these African American homes being demolished in Cape Coast, Ghana. And so the other videos that I watched were from women that's from the African diaspora, giving their perspective. One actually has purchased a home. I don't think she purchased a home. She might have purchased land in Ghana. And she talked about how, you know, the ins and outs of purchasing land and yada, yada, yada. And then there is a woman that I just watched today who says she's from the UK. She actually interviewed the man who owns the resort that was demolished. Okay, so that's the first thing that definitely needs to be put out there. These were not African American homes. This was an African American, this was not African American homes. This was a resort owned by an African American. Okay, so that's the first thing that definitely needs to be out there, because when you say homes, that means that that person has no place to live. But this was a resort, all right? And I'm just gonna show you just a couple of clips of him talking about what the resort was. And then I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna get right on in more further into this whole situation.
My name is Atur bin Or, and most recently I have been on assignment as representative of the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem out of Dimona, Israel, in Cape Coast, Ghana, West Africa. As the managing director of our health resort development project in Cape Coast, Ghana. Been in Ghana since 2009, been in charge of the project since 2013, and I was there the day that everything took place on March the 9th.
Wow.
Now, the tourism ministry just read yesterday that they are putting together a committee going to figure out what happened, why did this resort get demolished, and then of course they will, I guess, you know, let people know who needs to know kind of what the result of that is. So they have kind of said, hey, we're going to look into this and see what happens. So you have African Americans that are in the comments of these different videos, and I mean, they are going hard. I mean, they are talking very negatively about Ghana. They're talking negatively about the Ghanaian people, and I'm just like, whoa, stop your brakes. Now, as Black Americans, we know how we feel when people from the African continent, people from the Caribbean start talking about the United States of America, especially if they never stepped foot there. We don't like them talking about the United States of America. We don't want them in our business, telling us what to do, telling us that we're doing wrong, whatever. So we should give that same respect to them. You should not be criticizing a country that most of you all have never been to. And you should not be criticizing it based on looks like an isolated situation. Things happen all the time. We don't know the whole story. So my thing is, wait for the whole story to come out before you start passing judgment on anybody or any type of situation, because we know as Black Americans, we don't want it done to us. That's the first thing I have to say on that. The second thing I want to say is that a lot of the comments were saying things such as the president was saying that we can come back home and welcome us home, and then this is the welcome that they're giving us. You know, they're tearing our homes down and you know, all this kind of stuff. Coming back home means that you have an alternative to the United States of America. It does not mean that when you get off the plane, there's going to be a red carpet rolled out for you, that there's going to be a line of Ghanaians standing over there with their arms stretched out, getting ready to hug you and welcome you into Ghana. Like, no. Like, you will see the welcome committee or whatever, the people that welcome you in the airport, that's just what they're there for. They do that for everybody, not just people coming from the, you know, the African diaspora. They're there for everybody that comes off that plane. Don't matter who you are. They're going to welcome you into Ghana. So if you think that you're going to get the red carpet treatment just because you're from, you know, you're a part of the African diaspora, that's doing a little bit too much. Okay, you are coming there to be welcome, but people live there. Ghana is a place where people are living, where people are working, and they're going to be living and working. If nobody from the African diaspora comes off that plane, they're still going to be living in Ghana and going on with their lives. Like, their life is not going to stop if nobody from the African diaspora decides to come and make a home there, make a business there. They will continue to do what they've been doing. All right, so that's the first and foremost. I mean, let's not act like that the Ghanaians are sitting around here waiting for the people from the African diaspora to come over here and do something with their country. They're not doing that. Okay, so that's definitely a superiority attitude that I saw with a lot of comments when it comes to that. Like, really? Okay, that's not what he was meaning. Okay, all right. So when you are going to Ghana to do anything, when you're going to a country to do anything, you have to know the ways, the ins and the outs of that country. You can't just go to a country and thinking that you're going to make it similar to the United States of America. That ain't happening. You need to know and do your research. You can't be going over there trying to build homes and buy homes and you have no idea how to go about doing that, and you think that the process is going to be the same as the United States of America. Now, what gets me when people are talking about the comments, and when a lady on the YouTube channel that was talking about her buying land from Ghana and how it was just a bunch of red tape. Well, if you go to any country and you're a foreigner, it's going to be red tape. We live overseas, and us buying a home was definitely a bunch of red tape to go through because we're not from here. They're going to treat us differently. They're going to treat the situation differently because we're not from here. That would happen anywhere. That would happen in the United States of America if you're a foreigner and you're trying to buy land or you're trying to buy a home. You're probably going to go through the same red tape because you're not an American. So don't assume that just because you're coming from the United States of America that Ghana is automatically just supposed to change their rules and regulations and laws and whatever they got in place because you're coming from the United States of America. They're not going to do that. You have to conform to what they're doing, and whatever that means that you have to do, that's what you got to do. And if you don't want to do it, don't buy land. Don't buy a home. I mean, it's that simple. So I just wanted to throw that out there before I go further into the actual situation. Now, nobody really knows what happened right now. It's really speculation until it all comes out and they say, okay, this is what happened. All right, so I went and talked to my husband because he's Ghanaian. He knows about all this stuff. And so he was able to tell me, okay, this is what probably, you know, this is the ins and outs of purchasing a land in Ghana. Okay, So a lot of stuff that he told me I didn't know, and so of course I had to write it down. All right, so anyway, I think I got it down though. So according to him, when you are trying to purchase land in Ghana, there are several types of land that you can purchase, and it depends on who owns it. So for example, you have the government owned land, which is strictly owned by the Ghanaian government, and they can do with that land what they want to do with it. Now, there's a lot of situations where they own land and they might not have done anything to that land, and it's just sitting there. And there have been, you know, situations where a person comes and builds a home there, thinking that the government is never going to come back and look at it and claim it or whatever. And so they end up building a home there, and they're like, okay, well, you know, until they figure it out that this is theirs, I'm just going to build my home. But when the government goes looking through and sees, okay, this land belongs to me, and there's somebody that's on that land, and they have not got permission to be there, they will go and demolish your home. It's that simple. They're just gonna say it's mine. So, you know, what are you doing on here? You need to get gone. It doesn't belong to you. And it's just not people from the African diaspora. They do this to Ghanaians. If you're on land that doesn't belong to you, they will come and demolish your home. My husband was telling me that his cousin actually is a contractor for the government, and that is part of his job, is going for the government and demolishing homes. That's what he does. And yes, it's not a good thing. It's very traumatizing for somebody that lives there. But in Ghana, their whole purpose is, if it's not yours, then you don't need to be on there. It's been plain and simple. That's the same type of thing in the United States of America. If the government wants to build a road, if the government wants to build something for public use, and your house is there and your house is in the way, they will just tell you you're going to have to leave. Now, they will compensate you for you having to leave, but they're going to tear your house down. It's that simple. We need it. And so we're just going to come and take it, and you know, you're going to have to find some place else to live. So I think that's something that happens pretty much everywhere where the government is concerned. If it belongs to them, they're just going to take it. All right, so that's land owned by the government. There's land that is owned by families. So a family can own land, and as long as there's a surviving family member that's in that family, then the family continues to own it. And so as long as there's a surviving member of the family, then they have to be the ones to say yes, you can purchase the land or not. Okay, so there's land that's owned by families. And then he said that there were land that's owned by clans. And so again, you have to go to the head of the clan to get permission to buy the land if the clan owns it. And again, if the head of the clan does not give you permission, that means anybody in that clan, it could be a part of the clan, but they cannot give you permission to buy it. It has to be the head of the clan. It has to be the member of the family who's supposed to be having that decisions. I mean, you have to go through those channels to make sure that you're able to purchase the land. And so then when you're able to make those types of agreements and everybody is good on it, then of course you go to the land commission, you get registered, and then you go from there. Now, what they say is if you want to know if somebody owns land, you're supposed to go to the land commission to see if somebody owns the land or not. Now, a lot of times that could be difficult depending on whatever situation. You could have somebody that come in and erase somebody's name and put their name on it and say that they own it, and then they don't, and then there you be with land that you know you don't purchase, that they had no right to sell. So you have to be careful. You have to basically know somebody from Ghana. I mean, that's what I'm going to say. You're going to have to know somebody from Ghana, okay? If you're trying to purchase land, buy land in Ghana, you need to know somebody from Ghana who knows what's going on there, and go through them. And of course, you need to make sure that they're trustworthy and that they're going to make sure that they're doing things in the best interest of you. So, you know, as somebody coming from out of the country, out of a continent, no way would I be trying to go to Ghana trying to purchase some land and purchase anything like that without me knowing somebody there who can help me to make sure that I do it the correct way. A lot of times, unfortunately, people from the United States will come over and they just think they can just go over there and just buy land and think it's just going to you know, go smoothly like it might be in the United States of America. And it's not going to be that, okay? And you got to be ready for that. So yeah, that's how you purchase land in Ghana. And it is a lot of red tape. It's a lot of things that you have to do to make sure that you are able to purchase it. Now, of course, when this man was talking about on the video, it seems to me that he was leasing the property. So he did not own the property outright, he was leasing it. And so in Ghana, when you're a foreigner, you can lease it for 50 years. And then my husband said if you are Ghanaian, you can lease it for 99 years. And so, of course, when your lease is up, you have to go back. You got to renegotiate. You got to renew. You got to do whatever is necessary to make sure that your lease is still current. And also, if you're leasing, you have to make sure, and my husband was saying, that you were using the property for whatever you said you were going to use it for. And you need to make sure that it's upkept and, you know, making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to, because if you're not, that's also going to be a problem. So like I said, I don't really know the whole situation. We can go by kind of what the man was saying as far as what happened. But again, we don't know for sure why the resort was demolished. So that's basically the different types of land, the process of trying to purchase land. And I think it's sad that this happened to this man and the resort. I hope that they do get it sorted out and figure out what happened, why was it demolished to begin with. But I do want to say that it shouldn't deter people from wanting to move to Ghana or having the desire to move, or who are already there. The people that were making negative comments about Ghana and the Ghanaian people, they weren't going to Ghana anyway, so really their comments don't really matter. But I do think it's important that when you go to Ghana or have the desire to go to Ghana, that you really have to change your mindset when you're going, and not come over there and thinking that they're going to do things the way you're used to doing things. It is their country. They do have a way of doing things. It works for them, and so you have to conform then to the way they do things. And if you can't do that, then of course you don't need to be going over there. Ghana is not for you. You should not expect an entire country, an entire people to change their ways to be accommodating to you. Now, a lot of times the African diaspora, I hear them saying, hey, we are building up this country, we're building up the area, we're putting money back in. And I know that the Ghanaians are very thankful for that. But at the end of the day, they're saying whether you come here or not, we're still going to live here. We're still going to be working. We're still going to be raising our families. We're still going to be doing what we've been doing. Whether or not you get off that plane or not, whether or not you build your business or not, we're still going to be Ghanaians, and we're still going to be living in Ghana. So, I mean, thank you for what you're doing for us. But don't get it twisted. Like, come on. Don't treat us like everybody else treats us. You should be treating us differently than the Chinese and then the Europeans. The way they look down on the African continent, us people within the African diaspora, African Americans, however you want to label yourself, should not go over there and have that same type of thinking when we are trying to connect and trying to build a relationship and build a community with the Ghanaians and with Ghana. So that is what I have to say on that issue. I am Michelle Mazelleغ. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.